I know everybody's different, but I've never met a gardener who didn't like to share what they produce. I think that says something about gardeners. I think the people who enjoy to garden generally have a certain set of values and they want to provide, which is why I don't really feel like I'm asking too much when I ask the gardeners watching this to hear me out, because I've got a really good idea on how we can share with people that don't garden. 100 days ago.
So, in the Three Sisters garden method,
what do you think would happen if you planted the Three Sisters garden
in the mound, you only plant a handful of seeds
directly into an established lawn? Okay, now hold on. I just showed you the world's messiest, ugliest garden. I am not asking you to turn your yard into a messy, ugly garden. All I'm suggesting is that you grow like 6 corn plants. Just 6. You don't even have to dig 6 holes. 6 corn plants, 1 hole. I planted 1,200 corn plants directly into a lawn just to prove it could be done. And I did it all in less than 2 hours. I'm asking you to consider 6 corn plants, and you can maintain it and make it just as pretty as you want.
And nature multiplies your bounty.
Didn't weed it, water it, or prepare the area at all. Just dig a hole, throw the seeds in, throw some dirt on top, walk away. Now let's just go right ahead and address the elephant in the room. Because if you say survival seeds, the first thing people think is you must have a bunker. So I think the biggest obstacle to getting people to try this is that they would have to look their family or their friends in the face and say, that little patch of corn there, that's my survival seed garden, which is what it is. But maybe they would be embarrassed. Maybe you would be embarrassed to say that. I've got a solution. As far as survival seeds go, you don't get anything better than corn. And you want flower corn. Flower corn comes in all kinds of pretty colors. So you're not growing a survival seed garden. You're growing a decorative corn garden. And in the fall, your corn plants dry out and you peel back the husks and you can hang your pretty corn up. My corn is blue. I'll try to convince you to grow blue corn as well. But you hang your pretty corn up. It's a beautiful fall decoration. You look like a genius. And here's the trick. Don't throw your corn away. Yeah, that was me about 100 days ago when we just began this project. I'll keep the video short and moving right along, but it's not just some guy carrying his phone around showing you the different plants that he's got in his garden. The purpose of this exercise, of this experiment, is to prove that you can just throw the seeds in the ground and still get some decent production.
So one seed can produce thousands of seeds. One mound planted with the Three Sisters produces enough seeds that if you were to replant them all, they would grow a garden that could feed you for a whole year. Every single calorie for a whole year.
The reason Graham is talking about seeds is because we're growing these corn plants for survival seeds, not sweet corn or something we're going to eat. Hopefully we would never eat these seeds. One station, one mound of the Three Sisters garden will produce enough seeds that if I took those seeds and replanted them next year, just one mound, one station of the 60 that I planted, replant those seeds, I could grow a garden big enough to provide one person with every single calorie that they would need for a whole year. Alright, when could a big old bucket of survival seeds come in handy? I don't know. Hopefully not during my lifetime. But at some point in somebody's lifetime, there's going to be some dad or mom, somebody, a bunch of people that depend on them. some spring. And they're going to really wish they had a big old bucket of seeds.
100% true. Someday, maybe 100 years from now, maybe 200 years, something bad is gonna happen. Just let that sink in. Seriously though, given enough time, it is a guarantee that this crazy, horrible thing is coming and will arrive. And it might not be a short-term emergency, rather an emergency on a huge, possibly nationwide scale. But that's not really so scary, right? I mean, most of us would be dead and gone by then, so if it took its sweet time getting here, who cares? But I can tell you who cares. It's me. I care. My children or my grandchildren or their grandchildren or some generation of people not too far from now will be alive to experience this cataclysm and all the fear and suffering that will come along with it. And when you are talking about real trouble, fear, and suffering that could potentially end your grandchild's life, is 100 years really that far off? We here at One Mound don't think so. No, 100 years seems way too close for comfort. So what hazard is coming down the rails like a freight train threatening to hit our grandchildren's SUV? We will pass on the opportunity to try to scare you into action, but if you are really curious, check out the famous doomsday clock that you have likely heard mentioned at some point. Most everyone has. Or Google what this guy named Carrington observed in the sky one day while the telegraph poles all around him were bursting into flames. Or spend a few days binge watching The Walking Dead. At least if it's zombies coming down the tracks, they are easily outran. The issue here, friends, is that we don't know what or when, but we do know that something, someday, is going to disrupt the society that we have built upon the sand. We know this because science says so. It's a fact. Solar physicists warn us about Mr. Carrington's event. Volcanologists, studiers of volcanoes, about the Yellowstone caldera, and economists and global depressions and virologists and pandemics. Seriously, friends, these very smart people know that someday, maybe 100 years from now, maybe 200, someday the disaster that their field of work revolves around will finally get here. And when it does, it's gonna suck. So here I am with you sharing an idea that we here at One Mound think could help our grandkids. We have prepped our short-term supplies for the most likely of emergencies, one that would last for just a few days. So now, we need to prep for the least likely event, at least in the immediate future. An event that could disrupt our grandchildren's society for years, not days. And the best thing we can give them is hope. A path forward. A garden. A big old bucket of survival seeds. Enough seeds that when nurtured will grow enough food to sustain a fresh start.